Madridistas, that is not how I wanted to start a brand new La Liga season. However, it only gets better from here. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the starting 11, talking about some of the highlights and unfortunately some of the lowlights in this one as well, and give you my man of the match. I was very excited going into this game. Kylian Mbappe making his La Liga debut over in Mallorca, always a tough opponent for Real Madrid for some reason. ESPN actually even had a Kylian Mbappe cam going, so I put it on my iPad as I had the game on the television, and unfortunately, didn't live up to the hype. Looking now, this is the starting 11 that Carlo rolled out there again today, and as you can see, this is the exact same lineup that we saw in the UEFA Super Cup. And that's kind of what I predicted in my match preview, and I wasn't surprised. If Carlo feels comfortable with something, he's going to keep rolling with it until he doesn't feel comfortable with it anymore. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if he's going to feel comfortable with it anymore now. In the beginning of the game, I thought there was a lot of lackadaisical, a lot of walking going on and a lot of sleepwalking. I wasn't sure exactly what Real Madrid was doing. Mallorca comes on and a little too many chances in the first 5 minutes for my liking. I thought Mbappe and Vini on the counterattack looked pretty good in the beginning. I thought possibly it was a foul in the box in Mbappe in the first couple minutes. Rodrygo was coming and taking corners. I thought they were decent. I didn't think they were to the level of anywhere near Cruz, how he was doing, or even what we saw from, Arda Güler in the preseason. I thought the front three were actually rotating pretty well. Vini would go inside, Mbappe would go on the left, Rodrygo would, of course, come on the left. And overall, I was like, they're linking up pretty well. We actually do get the first goal, and unfortunately for Real Madrid, the only goal in this game, as Mbappe links up with Bellingham, who passes it. He kind of loses the ball to Vini. Vini hits a really good back heel flick over to Rodrygo, who hits a beautiful right-footed shot. Of course, he's on the left-hand side when he hits this, but this was a fantastic goal from Rodrygo, and I'm really happy that he actually gets on the board in this one. I thought overall, though, that Rodrygo, we'll talk a little about him later. A little hint for you. But I thought Rodrygo actually played pretty well in this game. Defensively, I thought he was pretty good. Again, this goal was a fantastic goal from him. This is something that normal people should not be scoring, but Rodrygo is a special talent, and I'm very happy he gets on the board in this game. Just a couple minutes later, I'm still feeling very good about this game. Vini is cooking this right back. And unfortunately for Vini, this is really the only highlight of his day. He absolutely cooks this right back. And I'm not sure if he had any, racist chants or anything against him. I think with Vini, his issue is he gets in his head a little too much, because I think the opposition and some of the fans get into his head a little bit. And I hate the racist chants for him. That should not be anything that ever happens. Unfortunately, though, if it works, it keeps happening for Vini. And for Vini to, continue to grow and kind of mature, he's going to have to block out that noise and just keep going on and just not let it affect him anymore. And so hopefully in the next one, Vini can learn from us. This is early in the season still, so he will only get better. A little later in the second half, I actually thought we had a really good chance to get another goal. It just seemed like a little too much excessive passing. Rodrygo was passing it to Vini, who passed it back to Rodrygo, who passed it back to Valverde, who was trying to get it over to Mbappe, and they were just almost trying to walk this ball into the goal. I really wanted somebody to come out there and just be really decisive and say, I'm just going to shoot the ball. That's how Rodrygo scored the goal, and I actually think we probably had a couple of good chances in this game that if we would have been a little more decisive, we would have scored more goals. Right before the end of the half, Mallorca has a really good chance, and unfortunately for Real Madrid, Mallorca kept getting more and more chances in this game. The counterattack was just there for them this entire game, and we get lucky. Courtois, he actually tips the ball back out and then makes a really good save. And it looked like a little bit of a Courtois mistake, but I think he actually comes back a little and makes a really good save, luckily to keep us up 1-0 heading into half. At halftime, I was a little disappointed with Real Madrid only being up 1-0. And actually looking at the stats, I was tweeting it. So if you're not following me on Twitter, definitely follow me on Twitter. Also, if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe to see more videos like this. But I tweeted that Mallorca actually had a better XG at the half. They were up 0.36 versus Real Madrid's 0.31. They had 5 versus 4 of our shots. They also had 3 compared to 2 shots on target. And they had 6 versus 3 corners from us. And then they had 1 big chance versus Real Madrid having 0. And so honestly, looking at the half, other than us being up 1-0, it was not looking good for Real Madrid. Mallorca was the better team in the first half. On the counterattack, Real Madrid just seemed lost. There seemed to be no midfield at all. I'm not sure where anybody was. There was a couple times that Rodrygo was out of position. Mendy was out of position. Overall, I didn't think it was a good game for almost any of the midfielders and some of the back line too. They just seemed really lost out there. And for a team like Mallorca, they kind of destroyed us a little bit on that counterattack. And that's going to be something we really need to work on for the next couple of games. I understand it's early in the season, but there was a couple times today that really scared me and really made me miss Cruz a ton. I miss Cruz so much in this game, just watching this game, the control that he would have. And I would love to give him a call and say, hey, we need you back at Real Madrid. Unfortunately, I think he's enjoying retirement a little too much right now. And so we're going to have to figure it out. In the 62nd minute, I actually thought Mbappe had a good couple chances in this game, and this was one of them where he actually gets a shot on target. And I thought Mbappe overall in this game wasn't fantastic. It seemed like there was a lot of times that the Real Madrid, attack was kind of force-feeding the ball to him. They're like, okay, I guess we have to pass it to you, Kylian. Here you go. But I will say with Kylian, he did have a good couple of runs into the box where he actually was getting a shot on target. Unfortunately, the goalkeeper for Mallorca did a really good job today and didn't let any of those shots turn into goals. And so ultimately, not a great day for Mbappe, but overall, I didn't think he was that bad. So after Mallorca scored, they really seemed content on being a 1-1 draw and saying, okay, hey, we're getting a result here. So they decided to park the bus. We take Tchouaméni off, we bring Modric on. And this is really where I think that Carlo had a really big decision that I think he made the wrong decision. I think at this moment, this is when Güler, Brahim, and Lucas Vazquez need to come on. Vinny wasn't performing great. I didn't think Bellingham or Valverde were doing great. And then Carvajal wasn't having a great game either. These are people who've already had a preseason, who are in a little better form than the players that are already out there. These players only played on Wednesday. And so the form that they're in right now is not great. I think it would have brought a lot of juice to this lineup and probably would have created a lot more chances too. We do see these three later in the game, but personally to me, and from the live stream too, it seemed a little too late. Unfortunately, at the end of the game, we cannot find the winner. And so ultimately we draw 1-1 with Mallorca. And unfortunately, right before the final whistle was blown, Mendy, unfortunately, I'm not sure what he was even trying to do here, gets a straight red card. And so he will now be out the next 3 games for Real Madrid. So look for Fran Garcia to come in to make the sub for him. My biggest takeaway from this game is this should be a wake-up call for this Real Madrid squad. Unfortunately, this entire offseason, I've been guilty of it too, has been saying this is the best team in the world. You are the favorite going into every single competition. Whether it's a game against Mallorca, whether it's a Champions League final, whether it's La Liga, it does not matter. You are the favorite. And the thing is, this is a young team, and mentally, they haven't been challenged as much as other teams have been. And so for them, this should be a wake-up call that, hey, just because we are the favorite and we are so talented doesn't mean you just automatically win these games. You have to go out there and perform every single match, and that's just not handed to you. And so for this team, I really need them to change their mentality when it comes to approaching these games. There was a lot of too much walking in this game for me, and just the attitude I thought they had. They were looking for calls, they were complaining a lot. That can't happen. And so for them to get better and for them to actually achieve all the things they want to do, that mentality has to change. When it comes to my man of the match, even though this was not a great Real Madrid performance, there was one player in particular who stood out for me. And even though this has been somebody that I've been a little critical of just because of the role that they play, and I think the rest of the Madridistas out there have been a little critical of, I thought overall today he had a great game. And of course, I am talking about Rodrygo. Rodrygo gets on the board, was a fantastic goal today from him. Defensively, I thought he was doing pretty good on his work rate. He was getting back, Vinny and Mbappe were not doing that. And overall, I thought Rodrygo actually had a really good game. And so I'm hoping that this can continue for Rodrygo as the season grows. So obviously that was not the result that we wanted as Real Madrid draw 1-1 with Mallorca. I'll be back later this week with my match preview. And if you made it this far in the video, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It only helps the channel grow and reach more Madridistas out there like yourself. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This has been Dally with Dally FC. Cheers. Hala Madrid.